what's happening here, because I'm starting to come home to myself, which means I should have closer relationships. I should be closer to people. Welcome or welcome back. Let's chit chat, because you're probably here because either you've embarked on this new self-growth or self-respect, self-love, self-confidence journey. Perhaps you're noticing changes in your relationship as a result of that. Maybe you're just experiencing loneliness in general, or maybe you're considering starting a journey of growth and you're just curious about what comes along with it. So let's unpack. One thing that I notice, especially as a therapist and also someone who has gone through this myself, is that when you embark on a journey of feeling of self-growth, of self-respect, your relationships change inevitably. And that's something that we can all kind of anticipate, but we really don't know how it's going to feel until it's there, and we don't talk a lot about it. So let's talk about this change from both perspectives. From your perspective as a person who's doing the growth, and the perspective of the other person, intimate partner, family member, a friend, whoever. So from your own standpoint, when you go through the process of healing the different wounded parts of yourself, or starting to acknowledge, appreciate, and be more compassionate towards yourself, or start respecting yourself more, which inherently leads to different decisions, you start to be more intentional and pick up a lot more about your day-to-day life. Kind of stop being on autopilot and start being more intentional and start being more mindful about what is happening around you. And it's an experience that is both really exciting and eye-opening, but also holds a lot of grief, because inherently there's parts of you that are like, why didn't I do this sooner? Or sad to let go of certain parts of yourself that were maybe really fun or maybe developed out of need. And the excited parts are ready to let certain things go, ready to change, ready to develop, ready to make different decisions or have just a different life. And so you start to look at, what does it mean to respect yourself? And if you haven't read Bell Hooks, I have just started reading her work and I'm literally obsessed. But I've been reading all about love, and it talks about the multiple different avenues of love, the multiple different types of love, and kind of challenges the way that we've seen love from the start. So she talks about a definition of love and uses the definition as the will to extend oneself for the purpose of nurturing one's own or another's spiritual growth, and explaining that love is as love does. Love is an act of will, namely both an intention and an action. She then goes on to describe the ingredients of love. And so that's care, affection, recognition, respect, commitment, and trust, as well as honest and open communication. And so if we reflect that back inward, respect is a component of love. Right? And so self-respect is inherently a component of self-love, right? We want to nurture ourselves, and in nurturing ourselves and in respecting ourselves, that means examining the different things that we have in our life. Maybe in that journey, you start to examine the things in your life and start to examine first and foremost your own behavior and how you can change that to serve you better in your life. This inherently means that we typically see other people differently. And again, this is something that I noticed in my own journey as well as a therapist, in a lot of other people's journeys, is that they start to realize, okay, the relationships that they have closest to them, what are they truly built on? What is the foundation of these relationships? Sometimes relationships feel really great. Sometimes they don't feel great at all. Sometimes they're built on codependency, trauma, other things. And then if we take a step out and we look at from the other perspective, whoever they might be, someone going on their own self-development journey sparks something. It either sparks curiosity, and that curiosity can turn into, I want to engage in this myself, or it can spark insecurity. And that insecurity can look like fear, like, absolutely not, I don't want this, get away from me. More often than not, the people in our lives that version of ourselves has been accustomed to will respond in a way of fear or a way of insecurity. And that's difficult and it's hard. And a lot of grief comes with that, because challenging ourselves inherently invites other people to challenge themselves. So if I'm challenging myself about how I show up in the world and how I show up in our relationship, that invites you to challenge how you show up in our relationship at the very least. And if that invitation is scary to you, because perhaps it's scary to look at the ways in which you've been existing in the world, what do we do when we're fearful of something? We typically back away. We typically run away. And so we might notice that as we develop these skills, as we get closer to ourselves or come home to ourselves, people start to back away. And it can create this feeling of, okay, what's happening here? Because I'm starting to come home to myself, which means I should have closer relationships. I should be closer to people. Really, what it means is that the people in your life that should be there for this version of yourself, the version of yourself that wants to show up in the best way possible, the version of yourself that wants to show love, compassion, kindness, reassurance, nurturance, and growth to yourself and to other people, that those people will stay and aid in that journey, or those people will leave because it's scary. Something that I have learned about relationships is that we all hold a mirror to each other. All of our relationships do that. They hold a mirror to certain parts of ourselves. When you look at these different relationships, what is that mirror showing you? Another aspect of this is that inherently your compatibility with other people changes. The number of people that you're compatible with drastically shrinks. And the reason why is because you can only meet people as far as they've met themselves. And so if you've met yourself at a level of depth that perhaps someone else is not ready to explore, or they're not in the place to explore, you can't meet them at that level of depth. You can't meet them at that level of emotional intimacy or vulnerability. And that is okay. And sometimes that means that some of these relationships stay on the surface. Sometimes it means that these relationships don't exist at all. But what I will say is that when you do find those people that you're compatible with, based on the healing, the growth, the nurturance that you've given yourself, that is worth it. And although it may be few people, the level of emotional intimacy in those relationships are so profound. I think that we're so used to, as a culture, this idea of having such a core friend group. And that core friend group means like the group chats, the this, the that. And when you see all these things on social media, you're just like, oh, I want that so bad. It's okay to want that. And it's normal to want that because we're social beings. We were literally created to be in connection with each other. And at the same time, we have to think about how many of these relationships existed because of proximity. And that could be proximity, physical location, or proximity in terms of growth. Even if you think about high school, how many people were you friends with in high school just based on the fact that you saw them every single day versus what you had in common, your ability to connect with them on an emotional level, your ability to trust them, their ability to hold space for you, and vice versa. So if you're someone who is going on this journey, who is on this journey, who's thinking about this journey, don't let this be something that holds you back, that discourages you. There will be painful moments, and that's really hard, but it's also okay for there to be painful moments. We'll find the people that you're emotionally compatible with and that can meet you where you've met yourself, or even encourage you to go deeper, can explore that curious part. And so yes, the journey of self-respect, the journey of growth, the journey of self-love, all of these different things can be a lonely journey at times, but it doesn't stop there. It doesn't have to stop there. I'd love to hear your comments, question, reflections in the comments, so let me know your thoughts. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Thank you for sitting here and chatting with me, and I will see you in the next video.